Addis ran. She did not look back. She could not. Her wrapper was half torn, her feet were bleeding, and the forest behind her was making sounds that no living animal makes at midnight. Branches snapped. Something breathed. And somewhere deep in that darkness, a voice, smooth as palm oil, cold as river water, called her name. Addis, come back. A wife does not run from her husband. She ran faster. But here is the thing about Addis, she had been warned. Her mother had warned her. The village elders had warned her. Even the old blind woman by the market gate, who warned nobody about anything, had grabbed her wrist one afternoon and whispered words that made Addis' blood go cold. She had not listened. And now the forest was alive, and something was chasing her, and she was only just beginning to understand what she had done. But to understand how Addis got to that forest, running barefoot under a moonless sky, we have to go back. Back to the beginning. Back to the day the stranger came to Umona village and smiled at her for the very first time. If you are new here, welcome to the fireside. Subscribe now, so you never miss a story. And if you already know what we do here, you know to get comfortable. Because tonight's story is not a small one. Addis was the kind of woman that made the whole market pause. Not because she was loud. Not because she demanded attention. But when she walked like she knew exactly where she was going, even when she did not. She was 23, sharp-tongued, warm-hearted, and completely, stubbornly uninterested in every man the village had ever placed in front of her. Her mother, Mama Chioma, was suffering. Addis, Emeka the blacksmith's son asked about you again, she said one evening, stirring pepper soup with more aggression than the soup deserved. Tell Emeka I'm busy, Addis said, not looking up from her weaving. Busy? Busy doing what? You are weaving a basket at 7 in the evening. It is a very important basket, Mama. Addis. Her mother put down the spoon. I am not asking you to love the man on the first day. I am asking you to look at him. With your eyes. That is all. I looked at him at Chichi's wedding. He chewed with his mouth open. Every man in this village chews with his mouth open. Then every man in this village can find someone who does not mind. Mama Chioma picked up her spoon, pointed it at her daughter, and said the words she had been saying for 2 years. Something is wrong with you. Addis smiled sweetly. Good night, Mama. The truth was, Addis did not think anything was wrong with her. She simply had not felt it yet, that thing the women in songs described. That pull in the chest. That sudden stupidity. She figured when it came, she would know. And when she knew, she would act. She had no idea how right she was. Or how terribly wrong it would go. The stranger arrived on a Tuesday. Nobody saw him come. He was simply not there, and then he was, standing at the edge of the market, watching everything with the quiet patience of someone who had nowhere to be and all of time to get there. He was beautiful. That was the first problem. Not handsome the way the village men were handsome, sundakan and laughing and smelling of work. He was beautiful the way a still river is beautiful. Calm. Perfect. And impossible to see the bottom of. His name, he told people, was Tebena. He said he was from a town 3 days east. He spoke Igbo perfectly but with a rhythm that felt slightly off, the way a song sounds when someone who learned it from a book tries to sing it. He traded in cloth and beads and always had exactly what you needed, at exactly the price you could afford. The market women loved him. The men found him unsettling but could not explain why. Addis saw him on his 3rd day in Umona. She was buying groundnuts, arguing cheerfully with the seller about weight, when she felt it. That thing she had been waiting for. Not a thought. Not a decision. A pull. Like someone had reached into her chest, wrapped a fist around something vital, and tugged. She turned. Tebena was already looking at her. He smiled. Slowly. And Adis, who had sent away a blacksmith's son for chewing with his mouth open, felt her brain go completely, embarrassingly quiet. She looked away first. But she came back to the market the next day. And the day after that. Tebena courted her the way water carves a rock, not with force, but with patience. With constancy. He brought her small things. A blue bead that matched her favorite wrapper. A mango from a tree she had never seen before, sweeter than any she had tasted. He talked to her for hours, about everything, about nothing, and he listened the way very few people listen, with his whole body, like her words were the only sound in the world worth hearing. Adis fell. She fell fast, and she fell deep, and she was happy about it in the reckless, joyful way people are happy when they do not yet know what they have stepped into. But three things nagged at her. Small things. Things she told herself were nothing. The first, Tebena never ate. In all the weeks he visited, all the evenings at her mother's compound, he never put a single piece of food in his mouth. I ate before I came, he always said, with that calm smile. Always before he came. Always already satisfied. The second, no one knew where he slept. He had no compound, no family, no landlord anyone could name. When she asked, he smiled and said he was comfortable. When she pressed, he changed the subject so smoothly she would realize only later that he had done it. The third, the old blind woman. Adis had been walking home from Tebena's evening visit, still warm with the particular happiness of a woman who has been well listened to, when a hand shot out from the shadows and grabbed her wrist. The old blind woman. Eyes white as a goosey. Grip like iron. That man, she rasped. That man who visits you. What do you know about him? He is a cloth trader from the east, Adis said, trying gently to pull her wrist back. The old woman did not let go. Has he eaten in your presence? Even once. Adis' mouth opened. Closed. Has anyone seen where he lays his head? I have not asked. Has he ever visited during the day? Full afternoon sun. Or does he always come at that hour, not quite evening, not quite night? Adis thought about it. And felt the warmth inside her shift, just slightly into something else. What are you saying? She whispered. The old woman finally released her wrist. I am saying nothing, she said quietly. I am asking. And the fact that you cannot answer, that should tell you everything. Adis went home and sat in the dark for a long time. In the morning, she told herself it was the rambling of a lonely old woman. By afternoon, she believed it. By evening, when Tebena came, laughing softly and carrying a blue bead that matched her favorite wrapper, she forgot it entirely. She said yes when he asked her to marry him. The whole village celebrated. Mama Chioma wept with relief and joy and probably some feeling she did not have a name for. The women danced. Palm wine flowed. Tebena stood in the middle of it all, smiling that calm, bottomless smile, and did not eat a single thing. The first month of marriage was the most beautiful time of Adis' life. Tebena was tender, attentive, and endlessly patient. He spoke to her like she was the most intelligent person he had ever met. He made her laugh every single day. At night, he held her with a gentleness that made her feel like something precious. There was only one rule. Never follow me when I leave at night, he told her on their third evening, his voice as light and easy as if he were saying do not forget to close the gate. Sometimes I go out. Business. Old obligations. Do not follow me. Do not look for me. And do not ask where I have been when I return. Can you do that? Adis had looked at him. Why? Because I am asking you to. That is not a reason, Tebena. He had smiled then, and for just a flash, just one heartbeat, something moved behind his eyes. Not warmth. Not amusement. Something older than both. It is the only reason I have, he said softly. Please. She agreed. She kept the agreement for exactly 6 weeks. It started with small things that piled up into large fears. She noticed that when moonlight fell directly onto Ben's skin, his shadow did not always move when he moved. She noticed that the compound animals, the goats, the dog her mother had given them as a gift, would not go near him. They pressed themselves against walls, went still and silent, tracked him with their eyes the way prey tracks a predator. She noticed that when he laughed, truly laughed, forgetting himself, the sound was slightly too resonant for a human throat. Like the laugh had more room inside it than it should. She started watching him at night. Lying with her eyes shut, breathing slowly, waiting. On the 43rd night, he rose from their sleeping mat at the hour the old blind woman had described, not quite evening, not quite night, but the dead, specific hour that belonged to neither, and he walked out of their compound without a sound. Addis counted to 100. Then she followed. She should have stopped at the compound gate. The reasonable, living part of her knew this. But the part of her that loved him, stubbornly, furiously, in spite of everything, kept her feet moving forward. He was far ahead, a shape in the dark, moving through the edge of the village with the ease of someone who did not need eyes to navigate. She followed at a distance, her heart loud in her ears, her feet finding the path almost by instinct. He went into the forest. She stopped at the tree, stood there in the dark with her wrapper pressed to her mouth, breathing shallow. And then she heard them. Voices. Many voices, speaking just underneath the frequency of understanding, not words exactly, more like the feeling of words, like hearing a conversation through very thick walls. Low. And rhythmic. And deeply, essentially wrong in a way her body understood before her mind did. Turbena's voice rose above the rest, and it was not his voice. Not the voice that laughed with her and asked about her day and said her name like it was something worth saying carefully. This voice was older. Authoritative. It had weight to it, gravity, the way a stone dropped into a deep well has gravity, you hear it fall, and fall, and fall, and the bottom never comes. She stepped closer. She saw them. She did not scream. There are moments so far outside the borders of everything you know that the body forgets it has a voice. She simply stood, and saw, and felt the world she had been living in for 43 days quietly come apart at its seams. She ran. And that is how we return to the beginning. Addis, running. The forest alive. The voice, Turbena's voice, and not Turbena's voice, calling her name in the dark. She broke out of the trees into the open path and ran toward the village lights, her lungs burning, her feet leaving blood on the earth behind her. Addis. He was in front of her. She skidded to a stop, heart slamming against her ribs so hard she thought it might break something. He had not run past her. He had simply arrived, standing in the path ahead, calm and still, as if he had been waiting there all along. You followed me, he said. She could not speak. She was breathing too hard, shaking too hard, her whole body refusing to organize itself into anything functional. I asked you not to, he said. Not angry. That was almost worse, the absolute, unruffled calm of him. I asked you one thing. What are you? She finally managed. Her voice came out smaller than she wanted it to. For a long moment, he said nothing. The night air moved between them. Somewhere far away, a night bird called. You already know, he said. I want you to say it. He looked at her with those eyes, those beautiful, depthless eyes that she had fallen into willingly, happily, without once checking how deep they went. I am what your people call a spirit, he said quietly. I have been called other things. In other places. In other times. But here, in this language, spirit. Yes. Addis' legs wanted to give out. She refused to let them. Our marriage is real, he said immediately, and something in his voice shifted, just barely, just the smallest fracture in that enormous calm. Whatever else I am, what I feel for you is real. I want you to know that. You lied to me. I did not tell you everything. That is not the same. It is exactly the same. Her voice broke on the last word and she hated it, hated that she was crying now, hated that even in the middle of this, even knowing what she now knew, part of her was still, devastatingly, pulling toward him. You let me love you. You let me build a life, you let my mother dance at our wedding, you let me believe. Adis. Don't say my name like that. I have been watching humans for a very long time, he said. Hundreds of years. I have moved through your villages, your markets, your celebrations, and your funerals. I have watched love from the outside the way you watch a fire from across a river, close enough to feel the warmth but never. He stopped. Something moved across his face. And then I saw you. Arguing about groundnut weight at the top of your voice and laughing at your own jokes and walking like you own the ground under your feet. And I thought, I want to know what that feels like. From the inside. The silence between them stretched long and fragile. That doesn't make it right, Adis whispered. No, he said simply. It doesn't. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. Breathed. Thought. Can you become human? Fully. Permanently. The fracture in his calm widened. No. Can I come with you? To wherever you go at night? No. What you saw tonight, that world is not made for the living. You would not survive it. Then what? Her voice cracked again, and this time she let it. What are we? What is this? What do I do with this? He was quiet for so long that the night bird called twice more before he spoke. I cannot ask you to stay, he said finally. Knowing what you know now. I cannot ask that. But I am asking. Adis looked at him, really looked at him, the way she had not let herself look since the market stopped moving all those months ago. At the face she had memorized. At the eyes she had trusted completely and should not have and did anyway. She thought about her mother. About the old blind woman and her iron grip. About goats pressing themselves against walls. About a shadow that moved just a moment too late. She thought about 43 days of being listened to like she was the most important sound in the world. I need to think, she said. I know. I need you to not follow me while I think. I know that too. She turned and walked back toward the village lights. He did not follow. She went to the old blind woman the next morning. The woman was sitting outside her door as if she had been expecting her, which she probably had, because whatever the old woman was, she had always known things she should not know. He told me himself, Adis said, sitting in the dust beside her without being invited. He said it was real. What he feels for me. Said the old woman. Can a spirit love a human being? Truly. Can a fire warm a hand without burning it? The old woman replied. Sometimes yes. Sometimes no. Depends on how close you stand and how long you stay. That is not an answer. No, the woman agreed. It is a question. And you are the only one who can answer it. Adis pulled her knees to her chest. I love him. I know. I shouldn't. Probably not. But I do. Yes. The old woman was quiet for a moment. The real question, my daughter, is not whether you love him. Love has never needed permission or good sense to arrive. The real question is this: can you live in a house where some doors will always be locked? Can you build a life with someone who belongs to two worlds, knowing you can only follow him into one? Adis sat with that for a long time. The sun moved. A child ran past chasing a chicken. The village made its ordinary sounds around her, And she thought about how ordinary was the greatest gift and the greatest trap, and how Tabena had given her ordinary and hidden the rest, and whether the ordinary was still worth something even with the hiding. She stood up eventually. "Thank you," she said. "Whatever you decide," the old woman said, turning her white eyes toward the sun. "Decide it with both eyes open. No more following in the dark. No more half-truths you convince yourself are whole ones. If you stay, stay knowing everything. If you go, go knowing everything. The worst thing is not loving a spirit. The worst thing is lying to yourself about what you are living with." Addis found Tabena sitting in their compound when she returned. Not waiting, exactly. Just present. The way he always was. She sat across from him. "I have decided," she said. He looked at her. Said nothing. The particular quiet of someone who is genuinely afraid of what comes next, and Addis noticed, with some surprise, that she had never seen him afraid before. It looked strange on him. "Human. I will stay," she said. "But not the way things were. If I stay, you tell me the truth, about what you are, about where you go, about everything you can tell me without destroying me. You don't lie by leaving things out. And you never, ever let me feel alone in this house." "Agreed." The silence lasted exactly 3 heartbeats. "Agreed," he said. His voice was rough in a way she had not heard before. "And Tabena?" "Yes. If you break that agreement, even once, I will leave. And you will not follow me. And you will not call my name in any forest, in any dark, in any world. Do you understand?" He held her gaze. "I understand." She nodded. Got up. Went inside. He sat in the compound for a long time after that, in the afternoon light, and Addis watched him from the doorway. His shadow moved perfectly. Exactly when it was supposed to. She did not know if she had made the right choice. She did not know if there was a right choice to make. But she had made it with both eyes open. And in a story full of things she could not control, that, at least, was hers. And the elders say this: it is not always the fearful thing that destroys you. Sometimes it is the beautiful thing, the thing that listens to you, the thing that makes you feel known. Those things require the most careful eyes of all. Because love, real love, even strange love, even love that walks between worlds, does not ask you to be blind. It asks you to see everything, and choose anyway. Now, did Addis and Tabena find their peace? Did the locked doors stay locked forever? And what did she see that night in the forest? What exactly were those voices, those shapes, that world her husband belonged to half of? That story, we will tell another night. If you want to be here for it, subscribe right now. Hit the bell so you never miss a single fireside tale. And if this story held you from beginning to end, leave a comment. Tell me, what would you have done in Addis' place? Would you have stayed? Or would you have run and never looked back? Drop it below. The fireside is always open. Until next time, keep listening.